Welcome to today's Postgrad Insights. Today is a dedicated session to Temple University, who are going to be talking to us about why their university is the best place to study, not just in Philadelphia, but in the USA as a whole. Now, just before we do hear from them and have a presentation, just a quick insight into what today will cover. There will be a presentation from them, a little bit about what postgrad.com has to offer for all you students that aren't aware, and a chance for you to win £500 off your tuition costs, which we will just go through now quickly. So any student looking to study any course anywhere around the world that is looking to start in September 2023 or in January 24 is eligible. So please head over to our website to register. Doesn't matter what you're looking to study, where you're from, or what mode of study you're looking at. Without wasting too much more time, I'd like to hand you over to Sam Kelley, who is the Associate Director for Global Programs at Temple University. Sam, I'd like to hand over to you at this point, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys at the Q&A at the end.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join us and hear a little bit about Temple University, located in Philadelphia. And just to introduce who will be presenting today. So I am Sam Kelley, and as Gareth just mentioned, I'm in our Global Programs office. So I have the great fortune to work with international students coming from around the world for graduate programs. What luck, right? So we work with students coming from all over. And one of our wonderful international students who is with us today is one of our student ambassadors, Chan Wu, who goes by Spencer. Spencer, would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay, thank you, Sam. Hi, everyone. My name is Spencer. They call me Chan Wu, and I'm the graduate student now majoring in engineering management. And I'll say the best part of being this Temple student is we got a lot of resources like the webinar. So I think you can learn more from today, and I hope you can know more about the Temple and the Philly.
Thank you so much, Spencer. And then also joining us in a little bit is Erika Clemons, our Assistant Vice President for the Office of Global Engagement. And today, and we also want to be mindful of your time. We're not going to take a long time, but we are excited to tell you about Temple. Some of the things that we will cover today include, of course, a little bit about Philadelphia, where we're located, our university, different master's degree options, and the admission process. Something that's probably the most important, I know, for Temple is really professional development and opportunities for you to shine as you grow into your future career. So we'll be talking a lot about that. Of course, a spotlight on a couple different programs, of which Spencer is a graduate student in one of those. And we'll close it out with student life and resources before getting into the Q&A. So again, thank you so much for joining us. And now we're going to just get started, okay? So here's a little video about Temple and Philadelphia. All right, so that's our hype video, everybody. Oops, we don't want to watch it again. So a little bit about Philadelphia. So Philadelphia, we were the first capital of the United States. There's a lot of history here. And in fact, it was the first World Heritage City designated by the UN for the United States. So again, lots of history. We're the second largest city on the East Coast. So we know a lot of people talk about New York. New York is great, but Philadelphia, we're only about an hour and a half south of New York. And in our little did you know in the bottom left, we're 40% less expensive than New York City. If you are considering doing a master's degree, wherever it is in the world, you want to consider the cost of living, because it's not just tuition, right, that you're paying for your living expenses, your rents, going food shopping and things like this. So 40% less expensive than New York, and a great city. We have the second largest university population in the United States, so it's a young city. There's lots of just growing talent here. The people that you would meet during your grad program at Temple University, the people that are there's 40 universities in the Philadelphia area. So the friends that you're making while you're doing your grad program are going to be the colleagues that you have throughout your career. And it's just a really exciting opportunity, because there's a lot of events, there's a lot of specialized activities just for graduate students in Philadelphia. We are also a hub for Fortune 500 companies. So we'll talk a little bit later in the presentation, but we have 18 Fortune 500 companies within an hour of Philadelphia, which is great for internships, professional development, networking, getting a job after you graduate, and all of those things. For me, I love Philadelphia because it's so walkable. I walk everywhere. I walk to the parks, I walk to the museums, I can walk to the subway system to get to work. I don't need a car. I've been in Philadelphia 15, almost 20 years, and I haven't had a car for about 15 of those years. I don't need one. So it's just something that I really like. I think walkability is really important, and there's just so many fun restaurants and different cultural venues to check out here. But enough about me. Spencer, what do you like about Philly? We call it Philly, just so you know.
Yeah, I would call it Philly. I'll say like so Philly is the old city. So we have like 5 professional sport teams in our town, like baseball Phillies, basketball San Francisco, football Eagles, soccer Union, and the ice hockey Flyer. And we also have field hockey, but it's not but so we have a lot of sport teams. And then I really enjoy to watch the game at the stadium. You'll see how crazy the Philly thing are. And I'll say that's the best part. And then we also have the biggest art museum in the town. It's only like 15 minutes away from the school, right? I think it's not far away. So I went there a couple times. It's pretty nice. And then I think everyone, when you come to this lovely city, you will definitely love it.
Absolutely. Yeah, lots of great cultural venues. Like we have one of the best art museums in the world, the Philadelphia Museum of Art. So, and definitely the sports teams. So I'm sure you would enjoy those if you were able to come. A little bit about Temple. So we are a large research university, top tier. We were founded in 1884. We have 33,000 students from across the United States and the world. These students are located at our main campus in Philadelphia. We have international campuses as well. We're a global university. We have over 600 different academic degree programs. So depending on what you're interested in, what you want to study, there is something for you here, lots of opportunity. We have 350 registered student organizations, and this is a great way, I think, for, when I've lived abroad, and I know Spencer is technically living abroad now in the United States, it's a great way to meet friends and to connect. So these student organizations, they're professional organizations to help you, whether it's you want to join a marketing association or something dealing with engineering, lots of those. And then there's the fun ones, the hobby ones. There's a rock climbing student organization, salsa dancing, chess, whatever it is. So lots of different ways to connect and just really have that feeling of belonging and, finding your unit here in Philadelphia and finding your friends. 17 different schools and colleges. We are an R1 research institution. That might not mean anything to you, but there's a designation. There's R1, R2, and R3 in the United States. If you're R1, it means that you produce the highest quality research and you produce it, on and on again. And this means that you have opportunities to connect with professors for hands-on research as well, and to really, that professional development experience that you're looking for. So we're in R1. It puts us in the top 4% of research universities in the United States. We're top 60 public university in the US, according to US News World Report, and top 70 for QS World Ranking. So this is, I love this slide because it represents who we are. We are a university that respects the global context. We have these international campuses that, we were just mentioning, but we have students from over 115 countries around the world. And so if you're walking down Leah Corus Walk in the center of our campus, you will hear languages from all over, and it feels like a United Nations. It really does. It's a really great opportunity to meet students and learn about their cultures from around the world, and to also tell students about your culture, where you're from, and how you celebrate holidays at home. It's a very inclusive university for that. We have 45 years of an English language program. For those of you that might not speak English as a first language and you're looking to develop your skill set, it's one of the longest running English language programs in the US. Again, those international campuses that we were mentioning. And something that you should really value if you're considering a master's degree or a doctoral degree, whatever it might be, postgrad, look to the alumni. Okay, this is really important for you. So we have 350,000 living alumni around the world. So wherever you go, you will meet up with other Temple University, friends and colleagues. So something that I know a lot of folks do is they'll go on LinkedIn. They'll find the company that they like. They'll find what Temple University alum are working there, reach out to them, and then they get inside tips on how to interview, what jobs are available. It's this really tight network of almost 400,000 people. So definitely something that you want to take advantage of, and not just for Temple, if you're considering other universities as well. We'll give you that tip. It's very important. Lastly, we just became a member of the United Nations Academic Impact. Temple values and puts leading efforts towards the Sustainable Development Goals. So important. And so we just became a member institution, and you'll routinely see activities and events, research projects, publications that are focused on advancing these very important goals. So a UN institution. To give you an idea of where we are everywhere, folks. So Temple, as you know, we are in Rome and Tokyo, and of course Philadelphia as well. And we have partners around the world, and we bring students in from these partners all around the world. And you have the opportunity to go and study at these partners around the world as well, depending on what your research program is. And so again, there's that exchange of ideas, exchange of friendships, exchange of professional development. It's something that we really value as being a global institution, and we value being global citizens. Health and safety, obviously very important. We have a 24-hour security service, walking escorts. We have a Guardian app that will allow you to have a walking escort virtually, let your friends and family know where you are at all times. We have a free shuttle service that brings you around campus, through campus, through the evening. We have, it's a new health and well-being division. We really value mental health. It's very important. We know that you want to be always the best person that you want to be, especially during a program that might be kind of intense. It might be stressful. We want to make sure that you have the support services there. So we have our on-campus student health services, wellness center that helps with de-stressing techniques, meditation and things like this. Our counseling center, very important. We have disability resources and support. So we really want to make sure that you have everything you need to not only just feel a sense of belonging at Temple, but to make sure that you thrive and you have all of the resources you need to really feel comfortable and excited about next steps. And lastly, free international student COVID testing, vaccinations, boosters. Almost, we have 97% vaccination rate for COVID on campus. So again, it's something that we take very seriously, and we're very responsive to anything that might happen. So master's degree options and the admissions process. So we have over almost 180 master's degrees at Temple University. So this is really fantastic. Again, depending on what you want to study, whether that's in business, sport business, the health sciences, science and technology, there are many options for you. There are 1-year options, 1.5-year options, 2-year options, online options, in-person options, hybrid options, so many different options that are available depending on what your preferences are. Maybe you want to start while you're still at home and then come to Temple and be on campus after your first semester, whatever it might be, we have those options for you. And to give you a more comprehensive listing, of course, this is not of the 180 master's degrees that we have. This is a little sample set, but to give you a little more of an idea, financial analysis, bioengineering, mechanical engineering, sport business, which is one of our more popular majors, I think, because of what Spencer said of all the sports teams that we have. Journalism, media studies and production, bioinnovation, architecture, health informatics, geographic information systems, and we always have new master's degrees that come out every year. So our faculty are very responsive to finding out what is going to make you in the best shape to enter that workforce, what is going to give you the best professional development experience. And so they're constantly reshaping and adding new degrees. So that's something that is always very exciting. I'm not sure if this would be of interest to anyone, but I'll just quickly go through this. We do have a variety of short-term English language programs. So if English isn't your first language, one is American Culture at Temple, and it's 2 to 4 weeks over the summer and in the winter as well. And you learn more about US culture. Of course, it's intensive language immersion, but it's more of like have a little bit of fun and enjoy Philadelphia culture and practice your English. We also have graduate academic English. This is a boot camp for learning about not just English in an academic setting, but what is a graduate seminar like in the United States? There is a lot of participation, as Spencer knows, highly interactive, the classroom setting. So really helping students to practice those presentation skills, the research writing, and so on. We have that every summer as well. Okay, and so now a little bit about our master's degree requirements. So Temple University, for what you would want to include, we have our official transcripts of all the universities that you would have attended. It has to be, you need to submit that. Official results from the graduate record exam. So we call it the GRE, and it's what's typically required of graduate programs. Although many of the different academic programs now accept waivers for the GRE. And if you are taking the GRE, you would submit to Temple. Our institution code is here. For language. So again, not sure for how many of you are English is your first language, or if it's your second, third, fourth, or fifth, but if you do need to submit English language scores, we accept TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo. For some of these, you can just quickly take online in about an hour. Things have changed in the past couple of years. So, and you can see some of our minimum scores here. You'll need letters of recommendation. It says 3 letters here, but I was just looking at some of the graduate programs. Now they only require 1 for some of them. So, and when you have somebody that would be writing a letter of recommendation, you can either have here, it says, an academic source. So somebody that you've had a class with, a professor that you've had, or it could be professional, depending on the type of program you're applying to. So it could be somebody that was a supervisor at a job or an internship. But you would just want to think about strategically who would make the most sense and be the best for you for your application. Your statement of goals. So many of you are probably familiar with this, but I'd say my top tip, and Spencer and I are doing a webinar tomorrow. Actually, we're going to be giving more tips about this kind of stuff. Your statement of goals is between 500 and 1,000 words. It's really important that you want to read the question prompt. So a lot of students, they end up writing a statement of goals that has nothing to do with the specific question that's being asked. So that's just our #1 tip. You want to make sure that you're actually answering the question. And if you're applying to Temple University, of course, we hope you do, you want to do a little research on the page for the program, and you can reference the classes that you want to take in your statement of purpose, statement of goals. So it shows the admissions committee that you really did your research and that Temple is the best fit for you. That's just a little tip that we have, because a lot of students don't do that. So just mentioning that. Your resume or your CV, if you are curious about, okay, well, what does a US resume look like? We have many different examples on our career site. So of course, for a resume in the United States, you don't need your photo. You don't need to put your marital status. Nobody needs to know your birth date. I know this is common in different countries around the world, but we don't need to know any of that. It's just your professional experience and your education and any clubs or, things like that you want to promote, but nothing too personal. We don't need to know. Just highlighting on the right-hand side here, this is a student that graduated a couple of years ago from one of the programs that we're going to be highlighting. This is Shirley. She graduated in information science and technology. Again, one of the programs that we're going to highlight. She focused on project management and IT, and now she works for the big consulting company Accenture in Beijing. So again, one of the international one we just wanted to profile. So costs and scholarships. So for tuition ranges by the school or college that you're looking at applying to. So, and I know that even that language is kind of confusing, right? So it's Temple University, and then within Temple University, we have 17 schools and colleges, okay? So each school and college under that umbrella of Temple University has a different tuition rate. So just a ballpark estimate for how much that might be is about, let's just say $1,000 per credit. Most programs are about 30 to 36 credits to about $1,600 per credit. So it gives you a ballpark range of about 30,000 US to, let's say, 45 to 50,000 US for your entire tuition. So students are eligible for scholarships. And so what you want to do is when you're submitting your application, when you get your admission decision, you would also get, if you're eligible, a scholarship letter. So some of these can range from, I've seen ranging from maybe $750 per semester to sometimes $2,000 to $5,000 a semester. So again, not every school and college has that kind of funds. Remember, school and college under the umbrella of Temple University, but we see it. And we also see students receive graduate assistantships. So I'm not sure how it works, in other countries exactly, but in the United States, typically, if you receive a graduate assistantship, you would either be a teaching assistant, help grade papers, maybe teach a class, or a research assistant, work in the lab, help write papers, help do, survey experiments, things like this. If you get one of those contracts, you can get up to 100% tuition remission. Great deal. You might even get partial. Maybe you're working 10 hours a week. You might get half tuition. So it's something you definitely want to consider, especially if you're going into the STEM fields. And we know that's what we're going to be talking about today for this program. So application deadlines. So we have two big intakes for applications. And so one is our fall, and the deadline is March 1st. Our fall semester goes roughly the end of August to the middle of December. And our spring semester goes, the deadline is August 1st, and it goes from, let's say, mid-January to the first week of May. So that's kind of the rough how our semesters are broken up in the deadlines. If you work to come to Temple, though, just, maybe you want to do a one-year program, you could come, let's say you wanted to come in the fall, your deadline would be March 1st, you come for the fall, you can come for the spring. And even though it's not listed here, you can sometimes take classes over the summer to complete your program early. So just something to consider. Spencer, I know that I've been talking a lot. Do you want to add anything about applying and deadlines and things that students should be considering?
I think I can add some my own experience. So last semester, I received like 6,000 scholarship. Is almost half of the tuition. Yeah, it's almost half of the tuition. So Temple offer a lot of merit-based scholarship if you really hardworking person. I'm not mean I'm the really hardworking person, but if you like really doing your job well, and then school will give you a lot of help on the financial aid. And
Yeah.
about the application, I think everyone should know when's the deadline, and then you need to plan your schedule, because you need to receive all the document, and you also need write your CV and statement of goals. So that is the really point you need to catch up, because the deadline, if you're over it, you probably won't. You need to wait for the next semester.
So jumping off of Spencer's great point about starting early, giving yourself time, and just giving yourself time to collect the documents. I know when I was taking the GRE, I was so nervous. Oh my goodness, I was so nervous. I am not a good test taker, people. I am terrible at it. And I took it a couple times. And the beauty about Temple University is that they only look at the highest score. So if you give yourself enough time, whether that's for English language testing, the graduate record exam, you give yourself a couple months, you can take that English language test multiple times. Nobody cares until you get to your highest score, right? Nobody's going to look and say, oh, they got this, and then they got this, and then they got this. They just want to see what your highest score was. So that takes some of the anxiety away. And the same with the graduate record exam. So I just wanted to mention that for people that are like me, I don't like taking standardized tests. Spencer, you are probably fine, but not me. So I just wanted to mention that. And then QR codes here, if you wanted to start your application, bottom right, or if you want to just request more information, you're still thinking, you're not sure, please feel free to scan that. Gareth will have a copy of our PowerPoint, and I'm sure can send it out to everyone afterwards, that you would have copies of all the listings that we have, and the QR codes and information. So moving into professional development. So again, Temple, we have a new president at Temple University. That's really exciting. All of his research and his working practice, everything that that he's been building his career on, is about making students have the skills that they need to succeed in the workplace. So not just, we know theory is very important. We know that a lot of the general requirements you need to do for something, obviously very important. They're building blocks, right? But we know that you need that professional development to make yourself the most competitive person when you are looking for a job, and when you're interviewing, and when your follow-up from the interview, and when you start working, you want those skills. And so we also realize that international students might need a bit more of understanding of US culture as well. And so we have International Student Career Week. Every year, we bring in employers from around the region. We do workshops just for professional development for international students. There's assistance with helping your resume look like the US standardized resume, how to prepare for a networking event, a job interview. We have mock interview help, all of those things that are really important. We have career and internship fairs every semester at Temple University, and they're both general and also hyper-focused to the industry you want to be working in. We have our Career Center has one-on-one career coaching. So you can actually meet with a career coach, and they will review everything for you. Again, the mock interviews, even writing the emails and applying to employers, which employers should you be applying to, things like this. They will help you with getting a free photo for LinkedIn, updating that LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn's very important in the United States for looking for jobs. All of that they help with. We also provide trainings every semester on optional practical training. As international students, this is very important, right? We call it OPT. And if you do OPT, well, you have access to OPT after being in the US and you graduate, after studying in the US and graduating, you get between 12 to 36 months of optional practical training. And so there are workshops by Temple University every semester on how to use your OPT, where to apply. OPT means that you can work for an employer after you graduate without needing visa sponsorship. So again, very important. And we know that it's important. That's why we want to do these workshops. So you know all the tricks to make sure you file that paperwork and you're good to go. And lastly, as we were talking about before, lots of research and research and teaching assistantships too. If that's something that you want to go into, you're thinking more PhD, more of the research, those opportunities are there for you as well. We are internationally recognized for our research. So we were the first in the world to successfully remove HIV from cultured human cells. We put in almost 300 million in funding for sponsored research annually. We have 346 total patents for new technologies. And lastly, almost 50 million in startup funding secured by companies in the area. So what does this mean to you? So what? This means to you that there are lots of hands-on opportunities to work with professors because they have funding, okay? So if a professor has funding, that means there are some really great opportunities to work and be a graduate assistant. We have so many students that work on robotics, right? Because their professors received a lot of money in sponsorships from federal government sponsorship funds to do these really great projects. So there are so many different opportunities to get involved depending on what you're interested in, to work with professors, get that hands-on research experience so that by the time you go on that job market, which we know is so competitive, you can say, I actually worked on XYZ patent that is out right now, and it was really great, and I did it with my professor. Or you are working on publications, or you are just creating something new and innovative. And so many opportunities for that at Temple, because we know that's probably the most important thing. More just about jobs. So we have a platform, a career platform called Handshake. And Handshake has 21,000 different internships and jobs posted on it. And it's a really great opportunity. I was just talking with somebody who just graduated also from engineering, which Spencer is in. So with Handshake, you can sort by employers that hire students on OPT. Remember, we talked about optional practical training, and I know it's on this site as well. So OPT, remember, you can work in the US for 12 to 36 months after graduation, that have hired students on OPT or have hired or provided sponsorship for H-1B visas if you wanted to stay in the US after and continue working. So you can even sort by that to target exactly the types of employers that would give you a long range to stay in the US and to work. So that's something that's really great. Again, those 18 Fortune 500 companies in the area, it's just so important. Again, that workforce development. You can be at Temple University, which is essentially in Center City, Philadelphia, and take the subway a couple stops to your internship for this huge mega company where you're getting the hands-on experience and networking, and you're already just building out your CV, building out your resume. Going to graduation, they might hire you. You might seek out another employer in the area. Just the potential for networking is so huge in Philadelphia. I can't emphasize that enough. It's really different than some of the areas, let's say in the middle of the United States, for example. If you don't find something in the city you're in, you're kind of, right? But in Philadelphia, we have so many of those different resources that are right there in the city, in addition to being able to go, remember, just an hour and a half north to New York, about 2 hours south to Washington, D.C. There's so much in this region that's there for you. So definitely take advantage of that. And where are some of our alumni now? Meta, formerly Facebook, Adidas, Google, TripAdvisor, and so on. And a lot of our students go into PhD programs, again, if that's something that you want to do. One of our students here on the right-hand side, I just want to highlight. So Hao Yoon was someone that had studied literature in undergrad. He studied literature, which is great, right? But he wanted to have a change, and he wanted to study computer science. And so he did a couple classes at his home university, made sure he had the prerequisites, and he applied to computer science, graduated with a Master of Science in Computer Science. And now he's a programmer at Amazon. He lives in beautiful Santa Monica, California. But this is an example of somebody that changed direction So you might have started something in your undergrad and felt like, okay, this isn't really me anymore. I thought it was going to be me, but I need to change. You can do that here at Temple, because remember, we have 600 different academic programs. So depending on where you are in that career, what you want to be doing, what your dreams are, because they change, we're there for you and we have that for you. And that's an example. So some of our featured programs. Is there anything you want to add, Spencer, about any of the career professional development opportunities at Temple?
So I would say, so I just recently, our department just held a OPT training, and then it's an event, and then you can go, just every engineering student or every Temple student can go inside and then ask them how to apply the OPT and what's the table of applying that, and then they help you set the timeline, and then even help you to find a job. That's really good. That's really helpful. And then I think the student want to stay at the United States after graduate, you probably need to apply this kind of programs. So that's really helpful. And then for me, my undergrad is civil engineering, and then I study engineering management right now. So I a little bit changed my direction, but so that is one different other example of the you can choose many program you like and in every campus.
Yeah, exactly. So just like how Spencer studied civil engineering in undergrad, now he's doing engineering management. There are those opportunities to make those transitions depending on what you want to do. So thank you, Spencer, for sharing a little bit. So now a little bit about our featured programs. So one is health informatics. We know that obviously we all lived through and continue to live through to an extent the pandemic, and we realize now how important health systems are and really being responsive to changes in health systems. And so one of the newer master's degrees, because remember we said Temple likes to see and be at the forefront of what's going to be important and what students should be studying to have that competitive edge for their careers. And health informatics is one of those. And so this is a 30 credit program, and it's a merger between information science and technology and the health sector, healthcare, right? And so it allows you to learn the foundations of healthcare delivery, again, that information science. There are graduate assistantships and opportunities to intern at local areas. We have Philadelphia is known as the EDS and the MEDS. So EDS, because remember we mentioned that we have the second largest university population in the United States. The MEDS, because we have so many hospitals in the area. So there are many opportunities if you wanted to do health informatics, many opportunities for you to work at some of these great hospital systems in the area, work for Johnson & Johnson, work at LabCorp, again, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and to really do that hands-on research. Health informatics, it requires a capstone. So that means it requires an internship to graduate, which is a really great opportunity, obviously, to improve your professional development. Then you can see some of the career options that you would have here on the right-hand side. Importantly, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, it says there's going to be a 15% growth in this area in the next year. So this is one of those industries you want to keep your eye on if you're considering master's degrees. And again, here we have the Did You Know Philadelphia as a global hub for hospital and health systems. So wanted to highlight that one. Information science and technology. We kind of talked a little bit about this one already, but this is being able to bring project management into programming, into data analytics. And so you will have opportunities to learn about business process modeling, emerging technologies, and so on. Some of the great career fairs that we have. Hey, Erika. Some of the great, hi. The different job fairs that we have in the area that bring in, really world-class institutions like Lockheed Martin, the Wistar Institute, opportunities for you to intern, careers in data science, and so on. And then speaking of job growth, again, 11% in the next 10 years. So you always want to keep your eye on what is growing and what's going to make you really relevant in the future, because times change, as we've seen. And for as far as salary, because that's important as well, 96,000 US is a entry salary typically for somebody in this career field. Engineering management. So this is a third of the last of the programs we're going to highlight. This is the one Spencer is doing. Spencer, would you like to share a little bit about this?
Yeah, sure. So our engineering management course is half from the Fall School of Business and half from our engineering program. So you can not only take the courses from the Fall School, and you also can do the courses from the engineering building. So that means you can have a lot of results and opportunities very linked to kind of building. And then your classmate, your professor is all really talented because they have really specialists in different area, and then that all can be an opportunity in the future. That is the best part of our program, I would say.
Awesome. With engineering management, it teaches you really to be a leader in engineering, right? So I know that Spencer mentioned his prior studies, it was in civil engineering, and this really gives you the business acumen to lead organizations that are engineering organizations. So there are classes that you can take in our business school that align with your goals for the program. And again, job growth 7% in the next decade or so, and about 95,000 US as a starting salary. So I want to be mindful of time because I think we just have a couple minutes left. So I'm just going to quickly go through these slides just about some of the resources we have. We have a world-class library that's new. It opened in 2019, 4 million books. Our tech center opened 24 hours a day, 600 computer programs that are loaded on there on the different computers that are in the tech center. So you don't need to actually purchase a lot of these. You can just go and use the tech center, use AutoCAD, use SPSS, some of the programs that you would need for your grad program. Disability resources. So if you're somebody that wants to, if you're a person who is disabled that wants to use some of the resources available at campus, we have lots of accommodations to provide for you. As we mentioned earlier, we take mental health very seriously. Our Tubman Counseling Center provides one-on-one and group therapy sessions. Our Wellness Resource Center provides opportunities for de-stressing and healthy living, and to just make sure that you feel the best that you can during, maybe a stressful grad program. Our Student Success Center offers writing tutoring, conversation partners to practice English or to learn a new language. So many opportunities to meet and interact with Temple students where you can practice those skills in STEM tutoring. And we have lots of recreation opportunities as well. So if you wanted to take advantage of any of the group exercise classes, the outdoor tracks, swimming, sports clubs, Division I sports, right? So there's a lot of great opportunities for you to stay fit on campus as well. Joining those international student organizations that we mentioned before. So between 300 to 350 organizations, everything from K-pop to chess to everything in between, depending on what you want to study. And here's just a profile of some of our student activities. Our social media handles are at the bottom if you want to check out a little more about student life at Temple University, because we know that it can be a lot of fun. You're going to be studying, but you also want to make friends and enjoy the local surroundings. So please take a moment if you'd like and visit us on social media. Now, Spencer, I know that we only have a couple minutes, but do you want to just briefly just tell us a little bit more about being a Temple University graduate student?
Yeah, I can just simply highlight two opportunities the student might be needs in the when you study at Temple. The one will be the ACME. ACME is a Temple organization that enable the collaboration with the different alumni and different students in the engineering discipline. And then they also have the kind of career knowledge sharing, and then so you probably can join them and then to learn more about the engineering, what's going on in the real world. And also one is called IEI, and it's an entrepreneurship program. They will provide the student, they have the competition, and then if you have some good idea or entrepreneurship idea, you can bring your proposal over there, and then what's your plan, with your prototype, and probably you will win the seed money. There's real money to let you start your company. So that is the two, I would say, really good opportunity for the student like who might in the temple.
It's always so good to hear the inside scoop, as we say, from a current student about some of these competitions to get involved in, professional development opportunities. So thank you for sharing that, Spencer. So with that, we can close out. Gareth, we want to thank you so much for allowing us to have the time to share a little bit about Temple University graduate programs. And we're happy to take any questions.
Excellent, thank you. Sam, Spencer, huge thank you there for answering many of our questions and many of the questions that have come in before, but we do have a few questions that have come in throughout the session, that have come in before. So we're going to just head through that now. Before I go any further, I'd like to welcome all our podcast listeners on Postgrad Podcasts. We're joined today by Spencer, who is a student ambassador at Temple University. We've got Sam Kelley, who's an Associate Director of International Programs, and Erika Clemons, who's Assistant Vice President for International Programs and Admissions. First of all, welcome, Erika. We missed you during the presentation, but I'm going to point the first question your way because I think it'd probably sit within your remit in your department more than anyone else. And that is, talk to me about what a student can do to their personal statement and their resume to ensure that when they apply, there's a very good chance that you guys would look at it and go, that's the student that we want studying here. And likewise, they can submit that application and go, I've done the very best I can possibly do.
Thank you, Gareth. Yeah, that's an excellent question, because I think too often sometimes the personal statement can be overlooked by the student in the application process, but that's really a valuable tool for your application to graduate school. And it's the opportunity for the faculty in the academic department to get to know you as a student, what your interests are, what your career goals are, and how the Temple University program, what you're looking to get out of it and what you hope to accomplish toward the end, and really connecting that. And so it's as I said, it's an important tool in your application process, and it really should be written thoughtfully with intention and as an opportunity for you to show the faculty committee and the academic program what you're going to bring and what you hope to get out of the experience. So Spencer, Sam, please feel free to add anything else to that.
I did, that's because Erika hits it right on the head there, that students often overlook this, and it is really important. It's reviewed, it's read. And a quick way of thinking about writing a personal statement, of course, remember you want to read that question prompt, but if you can think of your personal statement as being 3 sections. Section 1, what is the origin of you getting interested in this idea for your career? Was it something as a child that you were always interested in robotics, or always interested in civil engineering, or whatever that was? What's that origin story? Make it personal. Section 2, what are your career goals? What do you want to achieve by studying XYZ discipline? And section 3, how is Temple University the institution that's going to make you achieve those goals? Look at the classes that you would take, highlight those classes. Look at the faculty that are in the department. I know by working with Professor X in studying robotics that it will help me to achieve. You really want to show the committee that you're not sending out a boilerplate statement of purpose to 100 different institutions. Everybody wants to know, everybody wants to at least assume that they are special, and professors are no different, okay? So you want to make sure that you're highlighting them and highlighting Temple University as the perfect institution for you.
Excellent. And can I just elaborate further? I think this is a really important point with the personal statements, because obviously, in a better way of putting it, you're selling yourself. No one sells yourself better than yourself. How important is it that personality comes across in a personal statement? Because most of what you will be doing as a student will be socializing with other people, communicating with other people. You've got to fit into the right class and settle into whether you're on campus accommodation or off campus. How important is it that you get that across in a resume or statement and really show who you are rather than just what you know? Sam, do you want to start with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I would say it's very important. You want to be authentic. You want to be you. You certainly don't want to pretend to be somebody else when you're writing this. You want to think about that's why I love the when I read personal statements that start with that origin story, it gives me an idea of it's really personal, right? If you're sharing why you became interested in something, even if it's as simple as you're watching a TV show with your dad, and then it led to this conversation that you had. I mean, things like that can really help admissions committees to see you as a person and to really see, yeah, just like what you said, Gareth, how you would fit into the program. Don't be too familiar though, because I sometimes see personal statements that are a little too, how can I say this? They're just a little informal, right? So, hey man, I really want to study. I mean, you don't want to do that, okay? You still want to keep your professional hat on, right? You still want to present the best version of yourself, but be your authentic self when you do it. So nobody wants you to pretend to be anyone other than that wonderful person that you already are. So absolutely, you want to be who you are, but I just worry you don't want to be overly familiar, because you still have to, put that best foot forward, as we say. Does that help to answer the question?
It does. And I want to move on swiftly. I'm just conscious of time myself as well. But Spencer, I don't think there's anyone better here to talk about Philly or Philadelphia than yourself. Talk to me about what makes it such a great place to study, what different cultures there are to many students, for an international student in particular. I'm from the UK, to, even for someone like me who is quite confident to come over to the East Coast of the USA, having never been there before, can be quite a challenge, but there's something for everyone to do there. Is that right?
So I would say Philly is a really historic city because the first capital, and then our school especially really diverse. So I can take my example. So my classmate only have one people is from the United States. So all is from all over the world. So that's really diverse, and then that's the really good part of being a Temple student, because you can learn more culture from different area and different specialists from different talented people, even professor. My professor even not from the United States. So that is a really good part for being in this kind of diversity. And then also because it's a historic city, so you can know more about the history of America. And then also we have the really good art museum, and many even the sporting is a really traditional sporting in the Philly, so you can know more about United States culture.
Excellent. And Sam, you mentioned earlier on, I wrote down one thing from that whole presentation in terms of make sure I ask. 40% less expensive than New York. That's an unbelievable stat. Talk to me about how important that is, because it's all about money at the end of the day. Everything's got to be affordable. And does that relay through to accommodation, to the course, to the actual course costs and general living expenses day to day as well?
So much so. So obviously, the tuition, I guess I'll get first to the living expenses. So as an example, a student told us a couple of years ago, he said, the same apartment that I have at Temple University that he paid, I think maybe $600, 600 US a month for, would have been about 2,500 a month in New York City. Crazy. When you think about how much lunch is, so I think an average lunch in New York City is going to run you about $20. At Temple University, we have food trucks. This is just very, very hyper local situation, but we have food trucks. We have about, oh gosh, I don't know, almost 100 food trucks that are around the university. You can get a full lunch that is too much food. You might even have that for dinner too for about $6. So just as far as like your everyday living expenses, we have a supermarket that's basically right on campus, very affordable. So the cost that you're going to have per day is significantly less than if you pick a city like New York City. And over time, those costs add up, especially when, living in food, that'll take it right there. So definitely the money that you save is a significant benefit at Temple University.
Okay. And for those students that will go, I want the hustle and bustle of New York, I want to be close to DC, presumably the logistics of getting to those major landmark cities doesn't take that long to get there, does it? Or whether it's railway or drive, whatever.
No, as an example, Gareth, I live in Philadelphia, and my husband traveled to New York every day for 3 years to work. So that was something that I wouldn't recommend that, but just to give you an idea of, there are many commuters that do that. I would say probably better to go do a job interview somewhere in New York and then move, but people do that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's just important to point out because students might want to visit there. They might want to go there, see friends, see family, whatever it may be, or just go there because they've never been there before. So, you know, like you said, for 3 years nonstop, your husband went and commuted there. So although, yes, you might think it's quite a way away, it's not. It's very accessible. Next thing I want to talk about is your intakes and the application process, what students should do to go on and apply for a course of you guys, and what kind of intake should you have. You mentioned earlier on deadlines of March 1st and August 1st, but what are those dates for and when can they apply?
Sure. So March 1st would be for if you want to apply for the fall. So if you're thinking about applying to Temple University for this coming fall 2023 for a master's degree, the deadline is March 1st. I will say unofficially that many of these deadlines are flexible. So if you are interested in applying and March 1st is too tight of a deadline for you, you can reach out to us. You can reach out directly to the admissions team overseeing that discipline of that academic program. Chances are they are going to be a little flexible with you. So check that out. And then for August 1st, that is for the spring deadline. So there are 2 large intakes, Gareth, to answer your question. One is for fall, one is for spring. All of the master's options are available in the fall. There is a select number that is available in the spring. So not everybody does a spring intake, but those are the 2 larger intakes to answer your question.
Excellent. And Erika, presumably people will always ask you questions about funding and scholarship opportunities and what lays ahead for them. How does a student find that out, what you guys offer? How do they go and apply for that? Or is it done automatically when they apply?
Sure. Great question, Gareth. Yes, students are typically automatically considered for merit-based scholarship funding when they apply, and it will vary by the program. So all of the schools and departments have funding that they can offer to graduate students, and they'll get that offer once they apply for that scholarship. But once they apply for admission, but they can also look, and oftentimes there'll be a list on the website of other resources that they can look into. If they got a scholarship from Temple, but they're looking for some other scholarship funding, there'll be a list of opportunities that they can explore for additional funding.
And Sam, I'm just conscious of time, so this will be the last question. I know I could sit here and talk all day about these things, but there are time limits. Career opportunities. You mentioned earlier on in your presentation that a couple of your students have worked for what used to be Facebook, Meta, Adidas, and certain other major brands as well. What sets Temple apart in making students apply for them, and ultimately, what is the reason for them going on and going on to those, big careers and those major choices that they're going to have?
I think one, I want to say the alumni networks. Remember, we said there's 350,000 living alumni around the world that are Temple University. So
and
for somebody,
everywhere.
Sorry.
And Temple are everywhere as well.
Temple are everywhere. Watch out, we're here. So one of the things is really reaching out to alumni at those companies you want to work for and saying, hey, can we do an informational Zoom get to know you? You tell me what I need to be doing to make myself the most competitive, the most relevant. What types of interview questions did you have? It's a very, very helpful network that we have. And so I know a lot of students have done it that way. 2, it's just all of those career fairs, all of the professional development opportunities that we have that really make you the most competitive when you go on the market. We have a student that graduated in December, and he's gotten something like 10 different job offers, and it was stressful for him to decide which one he wanted. He's an international student, which one he was going to take, and it was just very stressful for him to decide. Of course it would be, right? But there were just so many job offers. He said that because he did every step he could through the Career Center of getting that personalized, one-on-one coaching to make himself the most competitive possible, that he was able to get so many of these job offers. So yeah, it just depends. It depends on, what resources you want to take advantage of. And I say, take advantage of them all.
And just one final note, I mentioned earlier, slightly tongue-in-cheek, but I was actually being serious as well, that Temple are everywhere. Where are your campuses worldwide? You mentioned them earlier. I know your law school, you have an opportunity in Rome, if I'm right in thinking.
That's right.
But where are you guys actually based, and where are your campuses?
Yeah, so we have our Philadelphia campus, our main campus, and of course we have regional campuses around the Philadelphia area. But I think what you're getting at is our international presence. So we have our Temple Rome campus, and we have our Japan campus as well, which is based in Tokyo. So we have those two campuses, but we also have something like 200 different partner universities around the world that we collaborate with on academic programs, faculty programs, study abroad opportunities. There's so much that is happening at Temple, and we continue to expand and to see, where students want to be and what they want to be learning. So definitely come to Temple or look to us to see where we are, because as you mentioned, Gareth, we are everywhere.
That's the one thing I've taken from this is sometimes you don't realize how big a university are until you speak to them and you find out everything there is to know. So a huge thank you to obviously yourself, Sam, who's done the bulk of the work there. So a huge thank you. Spencer, thank you for joining. It's great to have an ambassador on and to share their experiences. And Erika, thank you for joining towards the end as well. Always good to hear from people in different positions from the admissions team. So a huge thank you to all three of you. If anyone's got any questions or any concerns, if you've been watching on social media today and haven't been able to ask any questions, please head over to email gareth@postgradsolutions.com or head over to our website postgrad.com, register for a question, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. But for now, a huge thank you, and we'll look forward to seeing you again for the next session next month with Miami Law. Thank you very much.